Greetings, young Padawans. Welcome to the first exam review screencast of this school year. So I'm trying it a little bit different, as we've never done a review screencast. So I made this outline list of the major topics that pop up on your test. Now, there are 3 different units that you will need to review. My suggestion, as always, is focus on your Acorn notes, your flashcards. If necessary, watch the crash course videos that we've covered, and also your Barron's book. I cannot stress enough how much that Barron's book will help, not only by rereading the summaries, but by taking the practice questions. Now, let's go over some of the major topics. So to start off, Unit 4, which is composed of roughly 40% of your exam tomorrow, and remember, it is 50 questions. You start off with sensations. You'll need to know the major thresholds, absolute, minimum. In terms of sensation, you will also need to know the definition of sensation and further its relationship with perception. Now, with Weber's law, clearly just review it. It's a very simple principle, but we'll look it over. Now, perception, how it affects us, how it affects how we perceive the world, and you may also want to look over visual perception, and I would definitely focus on gestalt. I think I'm spelling that right. Yeah, there we go. Also, you'll need to review top down and bottom up processing. That was missed a lot on your quiz for Unit 4 from a majority of the class. Make sure you understand the difference and how one might use that in a situation, because there are application questions on your test that deal with both of these topics. Now, the cocktail party effect, when you're able, it's also called selective attention, where you're able to focus on one voice in a crowded room. Make sure you know what that is. Parts of the eye, parts of the ear, very important. You'll not only need to know the major parts, there is no labeling. However, there are several questions that describe a part of either the eye or the ear and ask you what part is being described here. So I would definitely review the functions of both of those. Now, Unit 8, you'll definitely need to look into a drive versus an incentive. How are they different? What theories do they go with? There are 3 major theories in Unit 8. You'll need to know all 3 of them in terms of drive and incentive. Now, Maslow's hierarchy is also a theory that you will definitely need to know backwards, forwards, upside down for tomorrow. Now, general adaptation syndrome, stress. How can we deal with stress? What do we need to do to handle stress, and how stress affects us both in the short term and the long term in terms of physical ailments. Now, go over emotions. I know we did not touch on this nearly enough in class, and for that I do apologize. But go over the section in your Barron's over emotions. You will need to know it. It pops up a lot. What is our first emotional reaction to any given circumstance or situation? You'll need to know what that is. Look it up in your textbook and look it up on your Barron's. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Make sure you know the difference between them. One is inside of us, the other one is external rewards. Pretty straightforward, but again, make sure you know the difference. Now, let's move on to Unit 3. So, with Unit 3, this one a lot of you guys struggled with, okay? The brain. Brain is very difficult, biological basis of behavior. Now, if you know the major neurotransmitters, you'll be fine. But one that I definitely think that everybody needs to go over is acetylcholine and adrenaline. Make sure you know those 2. Now, you'll also need to look over your nervous system, not only your CNS and your PNS, but also your somatic and autonomic nervous systems. Make sure you understand the difference between the 2 and yet how they both work together to give us a functional body that is able to do all of its proper functions. Now, the endocrine system will also definitely need to focus on the major glands of the body. What glands are important, what functions they do, and how the endocrine system works together. Now, in terms of how a brain can be damaged or destroyed, you'll need to know the vocab that goes along with this. What is each type of procedure called? What are the major procedures in dealing with the brain? For instance, the split half brain, okay, a frontal lobotomy. You'll need to know what those are and exactly what they should do to someone's behavior. Okay, remember, we have to understand the application of psychology as much as the definition of it. Now, the lobes of brain and their functions, again, there is no labeling section. However, there are several questions that will require you to understand parts of the brain. the various lobes, and more importantly, their functions. Excuse me, and how they relate to each other, and more importantly, how they dictate, our behavior. Now, finally, Phineas Gage. Who was he? Remember, he was the guy that had a nasty headache after a railroad spike got shot into his head, and he coughed out a piece of his brain, and it completely changed his personality, and that was the biggest thing. He was the case study that proved that there is connection between personality and brain function. Key point. Alright guys, so you guys did great on the FRQs today. I have total faith that you will do wonderful on this test tomorrow. Remember, it is 50 questions, multiple choice. We've already done the FRQ, so we're good. So please prepare for this. Also, don't forget, your Acorns for Unit 4 and Unit 8 are due, as well as your flashcards for both of those units. This is very important. It's going to be worth a lot of points, so please take it seriously. Now, with this test, we will be doing a retake the way we used to last semester, so that will be an option. But remember, try to do well your first time out. It's always a better idea to get an A the first time than have to stress about it and take it again to shoot for an A the second time. I hope this screencast helps you guys at least direct your studying, but look over your notes, trust yourselves, and relax. Have a good night.